people! I'm Ginny Metheral and I am a 4th generation witch, and I'm here today to talk to you about a wayside spell. So we're going to go for a walk, see what we can find and make it into a spell. Anyway, hope you enjoy this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up and do subscribe, and do listen to this short message from one of my favourite people.
This is Snoop D-O double G. Subscribe here to my homie Ginny Metheral. Yeah.
He's one of my favourite people, you know. I love him. Don't tell my husband though, he'd be a bit upset. Actually, I don't think he'd care, because you'd think, no, there's no way Snoop Dogg's ever going to look at me. On this rather wet and dreary day, we are going to walk along the hedgerows. I'm going to take you down one of my favourite footpaths with the dog, so that we can find something that might make a suitable spell for today's video. So as we walk along, there's plenty to see. There's plenty of ferns, there's plenty of red campion, there's plenty of nettles. Now, these aren't particularly exciting, and I don't really want to pick any of them. Ferns are carcinogenic, nettles sting, and the red campion, well, I do find it a bit of a weed, although it looks very pretty in flower arrangements. However, just up ahead is something I do want to show you, because this is rather beautiful. Now, this is the rather magnificent and beautiful meadowsweet, queen of the meadow, otherwise known as, and amongst many other things, also known as bridewort. Now, this is a flower of love. It's a flower of health. It's a flower sacred to the Druids. It's one of their sacred flowers. This is the sort of flower I want to use to make into a spell. What do you think, Waff? You want to make it into a spell too? Yeah. More meadowsweet here. Isn't it pretty? Even the dog likes it. So this is the hedgerow we're going to walk down now. When I came to it the other day, I noticed some rather interesting plants, and we'll see if we can find them still. It's pretty beautiful around this part of the world, but oh look, here we come upon something that is really rather special. This, as I'm sure you all know, is honeysuckle. The wondrous and most fragrant of flowers. Now, what you can do is you can pick the honeysuckle. You just pull it like this, and so you've taken the stem into your finger. Then you can take this honeysuckle that you have pulled off and suck it. Oh, delicious! And you'll get the sweet pollen-y nectar that the bees and the birds love. That's why it's called honeysuckle, because you can suckle the honey from it. It is also a fabulous plant for love. And actually, so is the meadowsweet. I'm thinking that I might have a plan. I think a love spell is in order. Bit of meadowsweet, bit of honeysuckle, and I think I saw some rather beautiful dog rose down there. And dog roses, the wild rose, really is the flower of love. Let's see if we can find some. Come on, Waff. Look, I found it. This is the other stuff we're going to use. Common dog rose. You'll recognise it in the winter because it's got these lovely bright red rose hips, which are one of the highest natural forms of vitamin C, if not the highest, that you can come across. Now, rather irritatingly, there aren't enough rose petals here, so I'm going to have to supplement the rose petals that I pick here in the hedgerow with those from my garden. Now, I'm going to use white or very pale pink rose petals because they are not too far removed from this particular rose. It's a Rosa canina, or dog rose, which is the wild rose. It was used by many herbalists in the olden days for many different things. Primarily, it is an arthritis and rheumatic-y kind of herb, which, funnily enough, not only is rose good for arthritis and rheumatism, but meadowsweet and honeysuckle are. So we will end up picking some meadowsweet, rose and honeysuckle, and we're going to turn that into a little love potion. Now, I can hear you screaming in the background, but you told me you don't do love potions. I don't do unethical love potions, but I do ethical ones, and that is what we'll do. An ethical love potion is something that doesn't control another person, because that's one thing you don't want to do. But it will get you maybe noticed by that other person, and you will become the most attractive that you can to them. So it's still their choice whether they, chat you up and wink at you, but you haven't overcome their natural feelings, and therefore it's an ethical love spell. Where have you gone? Off, off, off. There she is. She's a bit depressed at the moment because our other dog died, sadly. Oh well. So it is a beautiful walk that we do here. Waffle loves it. I mean, just look at that. You don't get much better than that, do you? Apart from it should be sunny. These are foxgloves here. I know I spoke about them in one of my previous videos, but I just wanted to mention, if I don't think I have done, that if you plant foxgloves on your boundary, evil jujus will not cross. They can't cross a foxglove line. Their vibrational energy is too high for them, and so it puts off the bad jujus. Look, it's rather funny. There is a sheep who's staring off at my dog. I wonder which will win. Well, my dog's quite wet. And the sheep's not. So I reckon the sheep will win. I love where we're walking here. It's through a grove of oak trees. Always makes me feel very, very witchy. So I have a wonderful pocket full of rose petals, a huge bunch of meadowsweet and honeysuckle. But at this moment in time, my children are hungry and need feeding. My dog needs a bed, and my husband probably needs a drink. So I'm going to go home. We'll pick this up tomorrow where we left off. So it's still raining, but we've made it back home. And I wanted to talk to you very quickly about why I chose these particular 3 flowers to make a love potion, so that you can understand the process of how to build a spell. So let's start, first of all, with, what have we got here? Meadowsweet. This is one of the great strewing herbs. And the reason is because if you smell that fragrance, it is delicious. It's got an almost almondy sweet bitter scent to it. Sweet bitterness, I'd say. It was one of these herbs that they used to cast upon the floor. So when people walked upon them in medieval times and thereabouts, they would bring forth the fragrance of the meadow herb. It was one of Elizabeth I, that cunning old Queen Bess. It's one of her favourite strewing herbs, and she insisted upon having meadowsweet on her floor. She also insisted on having lavender on her table, so she was obviously quite a woman for flowers, or particular flowers. But she was a monarch, and so I think you can forgive her somewhat, because if I was a monarch, I'd just demand tea all day long. An oil infusion of meadowsweet would give you the opportunity to cross paths with your soulmate. And that's your lover soulmate, not your friend or your teacher or whoever it is. This is your lover soulmate. So this is a really good characteristic to have in a love spell, this meeting of soulmates. So I think we're going to use this particular traditional witchcraft aspect from this flower in our spell. That is, to cross paths with your soulmate. So the next plant we're going to look at is, of course, the wonderful, fragrant, beautiful honeysuckle, actually one of my favourites. It has a almost refreshing, there's a citrusy note to its smell almost, sort of roses and citruses at the same time, but the fragrance is stunning, and it's been perfume my house for the last day because I came back yesterday and put all these flowers in a bowl and woke up this morning and was just in fragrance heaven, or honeysuckle heaven anyway. So honeysuckle has a great power of attraction. Now, it attracts love, or a lover, and so this is a great characteristic to use in a love spell. It also has the added bonus of having an attraction to money. So, as a byproduct of this love spell, maybe you could get some cash. Who knows? So we're going to use it for that purpose. We're going to use that particular characteristic of it to attract us a lover. Meadowsweet's bringing us our soulmate. This is attracting a lover, both of which work well together in a love spell. So finally, we have our rose petals. There wasn't enough dog roses in the wild for me to pick, so I've had to supplement them with some from my garden. I've picked the white and the pink ones because they're closest to the wild dog rose. Now, roses obviously always were the flower of love, and they conjure a lover, which is also quite important. If you're going to meet your soulmate, you need them to turn up, which is why we should add it to our spell potion. These conjure lovers, which is pretty darn important in a love spell. They're also potent magically. The great wizard Merlin of King Arthur fame, he was entombed in a castle made from a white rose by the Lady of the Lake, the sorceress Nimue. She grew it from a white rose because the white rose has the most power to hold and attract. So there you go. Birth of Venus here, this picture, so famous, I'm sure you've seen it, with Venus on her scallop shell being blown in by a zephyr, whilst pink roses rain down upon her. So the roses ensure that your lover is conjured up. The honeysuckle ensure that you're physically beautiful to your lover and that they're attracted to you. And the meadowsweet will ensure that they cross your path. So this is our love spell. It's going to have all these aspects to it. Now, when you're making the love spell, you could use the name of someone that you had your eye on. So you can very much personalise it to the person you want it to go to, or you can generalise it and not say any name. So the love spell is really very simple to make. What we're going to do is we're going to take a very clean bowl and we're going to add equal amounts of, this is the rose's petals, and then I'm going to take my honeysuckle, pull them off and add an equal amount or thereabouts of honeysuckle petals. So you can see roses, honeysuckle, and then the same with the meadowsweet. I want equal amounts or thereabouts. It doesn't have to be exact, you know, we're just, by eye is fine. I mean, that looks like equal amounts to me. Can you see? Equal amounts honeysuckle, rose and meadowsweet. Now, next bit, not so difficult either. I want you to take some oil. I am using some British rapeseed oil because I like this. However, plain old vegetable oil is possibly the best, you know, the cheap stuff. If you use something that's very strong, it can take on the characteristics of that particular oil. So, you know, a first pressed olive oil will have vague characteristics, which will then be, you know, added to your salad. So you want a really plain, simple oil, such as plain vegetable. And I want you to pour the oil onto and over all of the flowers, like that. Mix them round. I know, it's very easy, the spell, isn't it? There we go. So you can see that the flowers are covered in oil. Now these are going to steep. Before they do, you need to take your wand. Now, I have a very funny wand, it's a bit odd, but I have a goldstone as a wand, rather than a piece of wood. But this I use as my wand. I find it very useful. So take your bowl, take your wand, whilst moving a wand in an anti-clockwise direction. I want you to say the words, flowers, please leave your intent in this oil to conjure me a lover, make me more beautiful to him, and let that soulmate cross my path. That is the point where you would actually put the name of the person in. So could you conjure me the lover Stephen, for example? I just love IKEA bowls. They're brilliant, aren't they? Okay, here's my lid. Leave that to steep in a cupboard for 3 days. And voila, your love potion is literally ready. So then how do you use the love potion? Well, it couldn't be simpler. After 3 days, it's ready. Before you are likely to go out and meet a lover or a soulmate or whatever, whoever you're wanting to meet, you should take your finger, dab it in the oil, place a dab above your eye, underneath your brow, and below your eye, just on the top of the cheekbone there. Above your eye and below your eye. Leave it on, don't wipe it off. That is the love potion. Then you can go out in the town and, you know, do a bit of dancing, do a bit of flirting, do a bit of, oh, hello. And you might find yourself with a lover quite soon. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up and I will see you in my next one.